Okay, thank you all for joining me today. My name is Trisha Thomas. I'm a partner here at Fourlane, and this week we're going to talk about the new prepayment feature in QuickBooks Enterprise 24. Super excited about this workflow that they created. Okay, so we've created an on-demand support to support our clients on the technical side of things with QuickBooks. So some examples would be if you're getting a QuickBooks error code, maybe you've got some issues with end users or a license problem, maybe you're running into issues when you're trying to do a verification or rebill. So it's a really great, easy, affordable support plan. The pricing starts at $25 per QuickBooks user per month, and that's for up to 5 users. When you have 6 users or more, that price drops to $20 per month. And so let's talk about how it works. So once we get you all signed up, anytime you're dealing with some type of technical QuickBooks issue that you need help on, all you have to do is send us an email. That email needs to include what the issue is, what your urgency level is, and then of course, what's some best times to contact you. What you'll get from us in return is an email within the hour setting up that meeting so that we can help get that error, whatever you're dealing with your QuickBooks file, taken care of. So our support team is available from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Central Time, and we do offer Slack chat support upon request. So if you guys want some more information or of course be part of that on-demand support, just reach out to us and we can get you signed up. So we have people ask, tell us a little about Fourlane. I love sharing some things that make us unique. So here's just a few things that make us unique. So one, Fourlane is the largest QuickBooks Enterprise service team. And we're the #1 Intuit partner and have been since 2010. We also are proud of the fact that we have 8 of the top pro advisors on our team. So our team is one of the only firms that can support and implement not only QuickBooks, but other ERP systems such as NetSuite, Xero, and Acumatica. Other firms can support either the ERP space or the IT side, or more just focus on the accounting aspect. But when you work with Fourlane, we actually know both the systems and the financial piece, so we can support on both sides. When we work with our clients, we work on empowering their team with new and consistent processes to help them make those process-driven decisions, making change easier, so saving them both time and energy. So that's just a little bit about Fourlane. So let's talk about today's topic. I'm super excited to be the one to share with you guys this new feature in QuickBooks 24 for the prepayment process. So we're going to talk about what is a customer deposit or prepayment. We're going to talk about the mapping needed inside of your QuickBooks file. We're going to walk through setting up and activating the feature. And then I'm going to actually walk you through the actual process of accepting a customer payment. And then that'll also kind of talk about the templates and applying the payment. And then we'll also look at the reporting that is now available. Okay, so let me hop on over to my sample file and let's get started. So what is a customer prepayment? So customer prepayments or customer deposits, sometimes you call them upfront deposits. These are created when a business requires a customer to pay a certain amount or percentage upfront for goods or services they provide. So what this means is you're receiving money upfront before an invoice is created. In the past, customers would have to post these payments as negative open accounts receivable in their accounting file, or create an invoice and then have to remember that they did take that prepayment up front. So now with 24, there is an actual workflow included inside of QuickBooks that will link a prepayment to a customer sales order. So some examples of upfront deposits or prepayments are companies that require a certain percentage paid up front before they'll begin a custom project. Or in the custom construction industry, they take deposits up front or against work they're going to perform. Or even on the contractor side, they require for materials to be paid up front before ordering. So lots of different ways and reasons why companies require that upfront deposit. So what we want to focus on is how can we track it in our accounting file? Okay, so we want to be able to track which customers have paid any upfront deposits and the amounts that they have been paid. And to do this in QuickBooks, it starts with our chart of accounts and that mapping. So we want to be able to see per customer what has been paid and what has been completed. So we do this by creating a GL account that will show up when there's a balance on our balance sheet. Let's walk through those steps now. So we want to go to List. We want to go to Chart of Accounts. We want to go down at the bottom to Accounts and New. The account type will be an other current liability because we are accepting money from a client before we perform a service and or provide goods. So let's go ahead and choose other current liability, hit continue. Now you can name this account customer deposit, customer prepayment, upfront deposit, just whatever is going to make sense when you see this on your balance sheet, so that it identifies the money taken up front before goods or services have been provided. So I'm just going to call it customer deposit. Okay. Oh, I already have a customer's deposit. Perfect. So let's go and check it out. Make sure we've got here, we have our customer's deposit. Perfect, perfect. So I'll just show it to you guys. Oh. So just like I said, we've got an other current liability and it is called customer deposit. Okay, so now we have an account to track all upfront customer deposits that we receive against our sales orders. So remember, when you receive a customer deposit, your cash will be increased or debited, and then the liability account for the customer deposit or prepayment will be credited. So now that we have our GL account created, we need to activate the feature. So now we're going to go turn on that prepayment feature, and I'll show you how our sales order template has changed. Before I do that, I want to actually show you on a sales order. In version 24, they now have this button that's called Receive Payments. This button was not here in previous versions from 23 before. Okay, now if we try to select Receive Payments, you're going to see, let's go ahead and I'll add a customer here. We'll go ahead and let me add a quick item. And once I save it, now if I choose Receive Payments, you're going to see that at this time we can't because we have to set it up. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to actually activate the feature. Okay, so let me hit cancel here. Now to activate the feature, we're going to go to Edit. We're going to go to Preferences. We're going to select Payments. And then we're going to select the Company tab, because remember, this is a change to the full accounting file. And so my preferences would just be a change to what I see or do when I log in. Company preferences changes the full accounting file for how we're going to use the accounting file moving forward. I'm going to select, this is new. You now have a prepayment section. So I'm going to select the prepayment settings. I want to check the box for prepayment. And now we have to choose what GL account that we want those prepayments to go to. So when you do your down arrow, all you're going to see as an option is liability accounts. And that's because it is a liability to a company. You are receiving money from a customer, and you need to now then perform a service or sell them goods. If we try to add a new GL account at this level, and we choose, for example, an other current asset, and we'll just call it customer prepayment. When we hit save, you're going to see that it's going to pop up to say this has to be a liability account. So it is a requirement of QuickBooks that this is a liability type of account, and most of the time we say it's going to be an other current liability because it's going to be taken care of, offset within the year of when we create the transaction for the prepayment. So I'm going to choose customer deposits. I'm going to choose OK. And of course, we know it's going to need to reset, get us all set up. So now we have this payment ready to go, ready to be used. So now let's walk through and let's actually create a prepayment at a sales order. Okay, so even if, when you think of, I'm going to show your home page. So even if your workflow starts at an estimate, you will need to convert the estimate to a sales order for this prepayment workflow to work. So you can kind of think of the estimate as a quote. When the customer agrees to the quote, we would then convert it to the sales order and accept the down payment. So let's go to create sales order. So we want to go ahead and select our customer. You want to fill in all of your header information. So if you're using classes in your file, you want to make sure you select your class. You've got a special template that you use for this customer, go ahead and select the template, as well as change the date. And if you're doing some type of customized reference number, update any of this information you need. This part of the process does not change. It's your standard, what you've always done to create your sales orders for those customer orders. So we want to go ahead and select the items on the order. I'm just going to go ahead and then we will say that this is a $10,000 custom project. Okay, of course, we can still do the same as we've always done, entered any information, details that we want to be part of the sales order. None of that change, entering a customer message or a memo. If I save this, what I want to show you guys is now, when we activated that feature, you have this box here that is called prepayment applied. This was not here before that feature was activated. So now we can see at sales order level what prepayments have been applied to any of our sales order. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through receiving a prepayment. So we want to select the receive payment button inside of that sales order. This takes you to the customer payment screen. You'll see that you get this pop-up that says you won't be able to make any changes to this prepayment once you apply it to an invoice. So of course, we want to make sure that all the information is accurate when you're posting this. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so now customer payment looks a little bit different than it usually does. So we have a stamp here that is showing this is a prepayment, as well as a check saying that this is a prepayment on a sales order. Note that at the payment amount, you cannot have a higher amount than the sales order. So for example, when you're doing a standard customer payment, if we enter an amount that is higher than the amount that is checked or what is outstanding on their account, you would have the box down here that says, how do you want to handle the overpayment? When you're creating prepayments for sales order, that is not available. You cannot post more than what the actual sales order is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change this to $5,000. So it'll be below that $10,000 sales order. Also note at the type. So this is new. In the past, non-posting transactions would never show up at the customer payment screen. So you can see that it is linking this payment directly to that sales order so that we can see those two together of what we're paying. So go ahead and save and close. Okay, now let's go back to the sales order itself. And now we can see at the bottom of the screen that we have a prepayment applied of $5,000. So again, really great feature where we can see that we've created a sales order and we've accepted money against the sales order. Everything is linked together. Okay, well, if we want to go and print the sales order, we want to email this to our customer, we can do that and show this information. So I'm going to hit preview, and you're going to see a pop-up that says that you can add the prepayments and balance due to print on your forms for additional customization. So of course I'm going to choose yes, because I want my customer to see that we have applied their prepayment to their order. So really great feature. When I hit yes, it takes me directly to my customization of templates. I don't have to get out of this order, and in fact takes me all the way to that tab where that information is located and would show on the template itself. So you can see the default is to show on the screen those prepayments, and then your second column is to print. So I always tell clients, think of screen as what you can see inside your accounting file. Print is what your customer is going to see when you send them a copy of their order. And this is the same for invoice, sales order, or estimate. This is standard. Okay, we can change the name. So instead of prepayments, if we want it to be called, customer upfront deposit. So really great that we can really customize these templates and what we want our customer to see when they get a copy of their sales order. Go ahead and hit OK. And I'll show you on the preview. Let me show you on this. Let's hit OK. And let me keep spitting everything to my other screen. Okay, perfect. So now we can see, again, if we go back to our preview, you would see a copy of everything on there. Okay, so now really great, really excited that they actually added more reporting so we can track this easier. In the past, we had a workaround where we were creating custom transaction details to be able to see what customers had paid, but now there's actually an end product report. So let's go check that out. So under reports, under customers and receivable, new report added that is called open prepayments by customer. So this report is going to show by job the sales order and the payments linked to each of the jobs, and then it will total. If we have multiple payments, if I come back to this sales order and I post another payment, so we'll go ahead and we're going to post another payment just so that you guys can see it will reflect multiple prepayments if you accept multiple payments up front before the order is complete. So you can see here that we have a total per job. So the first thing we received was a $5,000 payment against that sales order. We then received a $2,000 payment against that sales order, showing that so far we have customer deposits of $7,000 for this project. Let's go ahead and let's make a copy, and then I want to show you guys. We'll create another one. I'm going to go ahead and create a copy so that you can see how good this report looks. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to receive another payment. So this one, I'll just receive, let's just do $500. And coming back to that report, so you can see how it broke it down by my total by each job. So we can see for Kearns Lightning, against their sales order 156, we've received $500. But then on Walker's Property, we've received 2 prepayments against that same sales order, and it totaled by each. So really great feature that we can track what prepayments we have accepted by customers that is still linked to that sales order waiting to be invoiced. So talking about invoicing, let's go ahead and let's walk through that. So now we're ready to invoice our customer for the completed project. I'm going to just come back here and we'll use the one that we did earlier. We'll use our one that we used for Stern. Notice how it's grayed out. Remember what I told you, we can't make changes. So we can't change anything about this order when it comes to who that order was for because we've linked that payment to it. We can change and add items, but we cannot change any of the customer information. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's walk through the process of invoicing. So from the sales order, we want to go ahead and we want to select Create Invoice. We're going to get our usual pop-up asking us what is it that we want to invoice, and we're just going to say Create All. It's going to do it standard, just like it always did in the past, where it's going to bring everything that we have customized in our sales order into our invoice. So if we had any information we wanted to customize in our description, it would bring it over just like it's always done. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. So once we save it, we're going to get this pop-up, and it's going to say the customer has available credits that can be applied to this invoice. Would you like to apply those credits to the invoice now? Now, we've always gotten this pop-up if the customer had credits, but what I want to show you is now we have 3 boxes. So this used to be our standard credits and what had been applied, but now we have a 3rd box, and this is for our prepayments. So you can see that it defaults and it checks the boxes for the prepayments that were selected against that sales order. So we can go ahead and apply those. So once I hit done, we've got that pop-up again to say, hey, once you apply any available prepayment credits to the invoice, you cannot make any changes to that order. So very important feature that you make sure that you have everything you need done, because in that background, which we're fixing to look at, it's creating journal entries for this transfer of prepayments. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so now let's look at behind the scene. Let's talk about what the debits and credits look like. So first, let's look at the sales order. So I want to go ahead and I'm just going to make a copy. I'm going to save it. Okay, and so let's look at the back end. And basically what I'm showing you guys, what has changed and what is the same. So if we look at a transaction journal on the sales order, nothing has changed. It still is what it's always looked like in that back-end database of what the debits and credits have always been. Okay, the prepayment does not sit on the sales order, it's on the payment section. So let's go ahead and receive a prepayment against this so we can see the debits and credits for here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna change this to 2000. And I'm going to save it. Now we're going to go back. Let's just use this one, it's fine. So when we want to look at a prepayment, let's go to the one I just did. Okay, so what I want to show you guys is, see how this is different. Standard customer payment looks like a standard payment against an invoice. Everything looks good, okay? But when you do a prepayment, it looks a little different. Let's look at that prepayment. So you see how you can see it's checked for prepayment. We can see the stamp. You can see that it tells you that it was applied as a prepayment against an invoice. Look how everything is grayed out. And look how it changed that type to a journal entry. That's the back-end database, how it is actually recording these. And so we can see that when we look at the journal transactions, it's still the standard where we debited cash, we received money, we reduced our customer deposit, we increased our customer deposit, so we increased our liability, showing that we owe this. So this is still the same as it was when you received a payment, but we can't change this. It's actually a journal entry. So I want to show you, I'm going to show you the invoice, and then we're going to go look at that last piece of it. So if we look at an invoice, remember this is an invoice, and we'll go ahead and here's one that has a prepayment applied. And the journal entry on the invoice, see, this didn't change either. We increased accounts receivable, we decreased, my debits and credits today. So we increased accounts receivable and we increased our revenue for that account. So all of those, when you look at the debits and credits, they look the same. There's not a lot of change. It's still the standard accounting. But what has changed is when this feature was introduced, there was a new account created, and it's called Account for Prepayment Transfer. So this account gets created when you activate this feature. You can see it's another current liability, and it is inactive. So the purpose of this account is for the database to be able to post those transactions. So this should always be a $0 balance. This is just for the back-end database to create the journal entries for tracking. Let's take a look at this account. Okay, and so let's look at the ones that we did. We have the 5,000 that we posted, where we've got the journal entry where we did a journal entry to decrease our accounts receivable. We did a transfer, it posted into this account for prepayment. You can see the invoice, you can see the sales order, you can see it's linked to this customer. We'll look at the other offset of the 5,000. So this one here, took it out of our customer deposits and credited to this payment transfer. So again, this account is just the backend database doing the internal transfer of those customer payments. It should always be $0. Now, of course, we always tell you guys we recommend that we reconcile all balance sheet accounts. And even though this prepayment transfer account should be $0, we would still reconcile it just like we do every other account each month. And of course, the customer prepayment liability account also. I'll just show you a quick peek on reconciling. I know we've gone over this before we kind of take our last minute questions before we are done. If we go to reconcile and we choose the balance sheet account, and I'm going to do the customer prepayment, we know when we're reconciling non-statement accounts, our ending balance is always $0, because remember, the purpose is just to offset everything that debits and credits that offset each other. So I'm going to do this as of 12/31. I'm going to do 0. And this is my sample file, so I guarantee you it is hitting stuff in 2029. So let's go hit 2029. Oh, it's 2029. Okay, so let me. Okay, guys. Well, I guess I'm not going to show you guys because we're running out of time. But on this account, what it's going to show you, let me show you. There we go. It was me. Okay. So what you're going to see is your offsets for your debits and credits. So what we would want you to do is reconcile everything that offsets each other, making sure our balance difference is $0. Okay, so I know I shared with you guys a lot today. We've only got 1 more minute, so I'm going to turn it over to questions. And of course, if I don't get your questions answered, know that we are here. You can reach out to us by email so that you can get your questions answered. So we've got one question, and it says, can you use prepayments against invoices without creating sales orders? And the answer is not at this time. So that feature for prepayment is only at sales order. You can, do a prepayment against an invoice using that same GL account, but it won't link it like the process that I just showed you with the sales order. It would just be a payment against an invoice. So if you're going to use invoices, you would have to create a prepayment item and do just posting against the GL account called customer deposits, or start using that feature using sales orders and then just convert it to an invoice as soon as you post the prepayment. Okay, so I know we're right at time. Thank you guys all for your time today. I really enjoyed getting to share this feature. If you have any other questions, please email us and we'd be glad to hop on a call and work with you guys. So thank you so much. Have a good rest of your week. We will see you next week. Thanks.